Greetings, YouTube. The doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And we got a drop, 2 days ago. Now 2 days ago, so this would have dropped on, today's Wednesday, it would have dropped on Monday. Doctor's been out, but we're back, and we're going to do a review on the new 2024 Rogue. I have to say, I really like the direction they're taking with this class. Has a little teeny tiny bit of what appears to be or going to be a nerf, but for the most part, the rest of the Rogue looks pretty good. It gives us a lot more options at maybe substituting in some things instead of doing a dice or two of sneak attack damage, but it's a lot of really good kind of overpowered control, and I do like myself some battlefield control, particularly with the Rogue. So let's talk about it here. So this is the front page by Michael Galvis. He did the article on the review. So they give a little blurb about some flavor and what they're doing. There's a little video. They give you a table, which is a summary of all the changes. And then they really get into it. And this is what I want to look at. So I want to look at these, and I want to look at how they compare to the Rogue right now in 5th edition. So right away at level 1. Well, at level 1, Rogues in 5th edition get Expertise, Sneak Attack, and Thieves' Cant. And now, in addition, it sounds like they're going to get Weapon Mastery, too. So in addition to the Rogue's typical suite of features at level 1, you gain access to the new Weapon Mastery feature from the get-go. Each long rest, you'll choose 2 weapons you're proficient with and for which you want access to their mastery properties. And we already went over the mastery properties, but for the Rogue, I think some of these are pretty awesome. So they give 2 examples. The Nick ability, which goes along with the Dagger, which grants you an extra attack on your attack action if you're using a weapon with the light property. So you can have a long, like a short sword or a rapier in one hand or a dagger, and have a dagger or a short sword or something like that in the other hand. And so now you don't have to use your bonus action to get your extra attack, which frees up your bonus action for doing things like dash, disengage, or hide, which are just, all of that is awesome. Particularly if you combine it with the swashbuckler. Hopefully they didn't change the swashbuckler too much. The other one they give is Vex, which is with the short bow. And when you hit a creature with your short bow, you'll have advantage on the next attack roll you make against the creature before the end of your next turn. Okay, there you go. So that's you will have advantage, though. That's not everybody else. That's just you. So you can set up having advantage if you didn't already have advantage. But let's say you already had advantage and you hit them with Vex, now you automatically have advantage no matter what. And so if you're having trouble hiding, in order to get advantage, then, this works with that. So I think these work very well with the Rogue. So that's a buff. That's a major buff. Those are all extra things the Rogue can do. Thieves can't, so they get this language, but they also get an additional language. So not only grants you Thieves' Cant, but also an additional language. That's great. So you get to speak another language. Again, that's a buff. That's another thing on top of the Rogue. I get the feeling that they are trying to get players to stay with one class and not multi-class as much as people have. Because the real kind of power gaming in Dungeons and Dragons, 5th edition, has been in multi-classing. Okay, so the subclasses. So Rogue subclasses in the 2024 handbook include the Arcane Trickster, Assassin, Soul Knight, and Thief. I don't know if that means that they are the only ones that are going to be in there, or if they're putting all the subclasses in there, or it's just updates to these. And, because it's compatible, supposedly with 5th edition, we're keeping the old one. So we'll have to see what's in it. So we got the Arcane Trickster. Magically inclined rogues can now swap out a cantrip each time they level up. That's pretty good. Giving you greater flexibility in your build. Okay. Versatile Trickster has also been changed. So let's take a look at that here. Arcane Trickster here. So you get cantrips. You learn 3 cantrips. Mage Hand, and 2 other cantrips your choice from the wizard spell list. A good one to always take is Booming Blade, because you can take that. And then we've got the Versatile Trickster, which is a 13th level ability. So that's a higher level ability, and it allows you to gain the ability to distract targets with your Mage Hand. As a bonus action, you can designate a creature within 5 feet of your Spectral Hand. Doing so gives you advantage on attack rolls. So that's as a bonus action. So let's see what they did here. Versatile Trickster has also been changed so that when you use the trip option of Cunning Strike, which is a new thing, on one enemy, you can target an additional creature within 5 feet of your Mage Hand. That's pretty massive. Tripping 2 things at the same time instead of 1 is awesome. So that's a big buff. However, that's a 13th level feature, which means you have to stick with the rogue for quite some time before you get that. All right, here's, I think, where the nerf is coming in. So the assassin. You can now more easily trigger Assassinate and Death Strike. But they don't say how. But the damage has been reduced. And they don't say how. You're more adept at poisoning and impersonating others, and you can move after using steady aim, supporting hit and run builds. So there's going to be a couple features in here. I think they're taking away, and if you're not familiar with the Assassinate ability, so you have advantage on attack rolls against any creature that hasn't taken a turn in combat yet. In addition, any hit you score against a creature that is surprised is a critical hit. Okay? So that's when you combine this with the Gloomstalker's ability of a ranger, it is massive, especially if you're getting initiative first or if you surprise something, which means they're not going in initiative. So if they haven't acted because they're surprised, so you have advantage on all attack rolls against creatures that have not taken a turn yet, okay? They're surprised they're not taking a turn. And if they're surprised, every hit is a crit, and you can hit them, 7 times if you're a high enough Gloomstalker. So I think they didn't say how this is changing, and they didn't say what the damage is changing to. I'm going to guess that they're taking away the crit part. Then Death Strike is a 17th level ability, so this is a capstone ability. When you attack and hit a creature that is surprised, it must make a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, double the damage of your attack against the creature. This combined with Assassinate is pretty nasty, but this is even nastier if you're a Gloomstalker. So I think it sounds like there's going to be some kind of nerf that's getting put in place. And there's something in here that they're going to give for poisoning and impersonating others. I could care less about that. And then you can move after steady aim, which was a feature we got out of Tasha's. And if we go up here to class features, they stuck steady aim in here as a 3rd level optional feature. It's a bonus action. You give yourself advantage on your next attack roll on the current turn. So that's a bonus action. You can use this bonus action only if you haven't moved. And after you use the bonus action, your speed is 0. So it sounds like instead of a speed of 0, that you're going to get to move. So that's a give and take, I guess. Soul Knife, large length change. The Psychic Blades now have more than a 60-foot range. So there's a disadvantage range there. And the Psychic Blades have the Vex property, which means that when you hit a creature with your short bow, well, if you hit a creature with a weapon that has Vex, you'll have advantage on the next attack roll, which means that the Soul Knife does have an ability to throw 2 daggers. So there is that. That's their Psychic Blade. So you manifest your psionic power as shimmering blades of psychic energy. When you take the attack action, you can manifest a Psychic Blade from your free hand and make the attack with that blade. This blade is a simple weapon with the finesse and thrown properties. It has a normal range of 60 feet, and on a hit, it deals psychic damage equal to 1d6 plus the ability modifier for the attack roll. The blade vanishes immediately after hit. After you attack with the blade, you can make a melee or ranged weapon attack with a second Psychic Blade as a bonus action. So when you take the attack action, you can attack with this blade, and then immediately after that, you get this one. They all have Vex. So that's the thing. They all have Vex. So that, so you're essentially always going to get advantage. Essentially. So, and then the Thief, it looks like they're updating the Thief because nobody really played a Rogue Thief. They can activate magic items as a bonus. They have a unique Cunning Strike option called Stealth Attack that allows you to remain hidden after attacking. That's pretty good. Use Magic Device on most changes. It now offers you an additional attunement slot. Okay. Grants a chance to activate magic items without expending charges. So get ready for Wand Rogue Thieves, and allows you to use spell scrolls. Okay. So there you go. So they're trying to get some use out of that. Steady Aim is coming in. We already talked about what that is. Cunning Strike is new. This is a big, in my opinion, it is a massive, massive buff, particularly for a few things. So it offers new ways of utilizing sneak attack. So when you deal sneak attack damage, you can choose to forego one or more sneak attack damage die to add a Cunning Strike effect to your attack. The DC of your Cunning Strike effect scales off your dexterity. So it's 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your dexterity bonus. So here's the 3 you get at 5th level. Poison. So put your Poisoner's Kit to good use. With this option, your target must succeed on a con saving throw. I'm not too jazzed about that, but or be poisoned for 1 minute, which they get to repeat the save every turn. So, but if you can get them poisoned, which means they have disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks, so they can be grappled pretty easily, and they're not going to hit things easily. If you could get them for 2 or 3 turns, I think that's worth it, or 2 or 3 rounds. Trip. So stick them with the pointy end and watch them fall. They go prone on a failed dex save. So that's better than a con save, and they have to be large or smaller. That's actually pretty good. And if you combine this with some of these up here, I think that's actually pretty good. Some of these weapon masteries that you get. Now, they're limited in the weapon masteries based off of what weapons they can use. So, and then, however, it might be worth it to bunch them up with a fighter in some fighter levels. The last one is Withdraw. So it lets you move up to half your speed without provoking attacks after attacking. If you add Swashbuckler into this, it doesn't really matter. So, so this, but however, this adds even more movement to the rogue. So the rogue can move in, attack, hit the Withdraw, and then move half their speed away. And then if they've got any speed left, move that, and then use a bonus action to dash and move even more. So that is that's pretty good. Okay, Reliable Talent now no longer comes at 11th level, which this is the one that gave you 9 or lower as a 10. When you make ability checks, that lets you add your proficiency. You treat a 9 lower as a 10. That no longer comes at 11. That comes at 7. I am hoping that they didn't get rid of evasion, so we'll see. We've got Improved Cunning Strike at level 11. So with Improved Cunning Strike, you can put good use by stacking each sneak attack with 2 strike options. So you could poison them and trip them at the same time. Or you could trip them and withdraw, or poison and withdraw. You make your trip. That's just awesome. I think that's just awesome. But again, they're putting this at 11th level, so they really want you to stick with these classes instead of multi-classing. And this is kind of the Pathfinder model. So Pathfinder 2, to encourage play, and their multi-classing is very different. But you get feats as you go up in levels in your class, and I think this is what they're kind of doing. They want you to want to take these powers. All right, so Devious Strikes at level 14. Again, this is a higher level one. So this is like the Cunning Strikes, except you're going to sacrifice even more. So the first one is you're going to sacrifice even more of your sneak attack damage. So Daze has a cost of 2d6. If it fails a con save, they'll only get to move or take an action or a bonus action. That's it on their next turn. You could do that every turn. That's pretty good. So Devious Strike expands arsenal of cunning action options with a host of effects. Now, does this allow you to do one of these and one of these? I don't know. It'd be pretty cool if you could daze them and then withdraw. That would be pretty cool. Knockout. This one's really powerful. Basically, it's going to cost you almost all of your sneak attack damage. So a thief at 11th level is going to get 66. So all of it's gone. Or I'm sorry, at 14th level, you're going to have 1d6 left. But they fail a con save, they're unconscious for a minute, and they get to repeat the save every turn. But for at least a round, they're going to be unconscious, which means all your buddies get advantage on attack rolls against them if they're and get crits if they're within 5 feet. And they automatically fail all dex and strength saves. So that unconscious is one of the most powerful conditions that there is in the game to put on something. And lastly, you're going to get obscure for 3d6. So they're blinded, which is, again, awesome. And if you can do one of these and one of these, you could do knockout and you could do trip. Or you could do knockout and poison. Or obscure and withdraw. All these are just great. They're all just great. Okay, they took blind sense away. This class gains Devious Strike and upgrade to Slippery Mind at level 15. So Slippery Mind has received an upgrade. Now your rogue is cunning, not just in tongue but mind. You gain a proficiency in wisdom and charisma saving throws at level 15. We get the epic boon. They talk about Boon of the Night Spirit at level 19. Increase one ability score up by 1. While in dim light or darkness, you have resistance to all damage except for psychic and radiant. And as a bonus action, you gain the invisible condition. That's pretty good. And then finally, at level 20, you get the Stroke of Luck. Now, Stroke of Luck is here. It's your capstone ability as a rogue. So if your attack misses a target within range, you can turn the miss into a hit. Alternatively, if you fail an ability check, you can treat the D20 roll as a 20. Once you use this, you can't do it again for a short or long rest. Now, 2 upgrades. You can now use Stroke of Luck on saving throws where you couldn't do only attack rolls or ability checks. And when you fail a D20 test, it turns the roll into a 20. This means a missed attack becomes a crit hit. That's awesome. Now, it still recharges on a short or long rest, but that's still pretty. So they really kind of want us to stick around for all these levels. What grade am I going to give this? I think I'm giving this a solid A. There was a little bit of a nerf, a tiny nerf to the assassin, and I can see why they're doing that because in 5th edition, the assassin Gloomstalker can pump out at 20th level easily 300 points of damage. See my video on Vecna has a Gloomstalker problem, especially after I read the Eve of Ruin Vecna adventure, because a Gloomstalker assassin will nuke him in the first turn. So I think they're trying to pull that back a little bit, but the rest of it, they pulled it way forward, in my opinion, with a huge buff to the rogue. Makes the rogues really good in combat now. They've got some versatility in some other things. With the Thieves' Cant, they get an extra language. So good stuff all around. I always like playing the rogue. All right, that is the video I got for everybody. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.